there.
But you told me, I remember one time you were like, you asked me, you're like, have you ever stuck your arm out of a window going over like 150 miles an hour? And I was like, no. And you were like, it's crazy.
Yeah, it is. I actually stepped out of the sunroof, like half my body out on the highway at about $120 behind two R8s. And then I took a video of them launching. And then we
at
followed
120
them.
launching?
Yeah, at 120.
They'll say they launched at 120? What?
Or
And
just
then
like...
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Dropcast. This is episode 8.
We're here with our good friend Steve Zarbo.
Yeah.
What's up, you guys?
Wanted to just shoot the shit with him a little bit.
Make sure you're like almost kissing it. Maybe you can bring it closer.
Okay.
Yeah, like that.
These condenser mics are fun. You almost have to be breathing all up on them and stuff. It's real fun.
Yeah.
Do you guys
But
do
they sound
COVID
nice.
sanitations on these bad boys between shoots?
Yep.
Lysol wipe down those things. And
Spray it all.
Okay, I see you. All profesh.
You have to.
in an ideal world, we would just like replace these things after every person. But I feel like that would get A, wasteful, and B, probably they're not the most cost effective.
Yeah, definitely bad for the environment.
2 things that I'm going to focus on during this this podcast is not saying or because I say it so
I
much.
feel like is fine. You're just agreeing with people. Though, I mean, and like for me, it's a and like world.
The last episode I said like 7 times before I even got into like a minute. That's bad. I was like,
Throw a counter in the corner there.
We need an on-screen counter for John.
right. Okay,
Thousands.
so just to get into it, Steve is a good friend of mine. We've known each other basically since high school.
He's my friend too.
Yeah, he's
I haven't known him as long as John, but he's a good dude.
Thanks. You cut me off right as I was about to say that word, so it's perfect.
Appreciate it, boys.
Yeah, so Steve, I've known him for what, like 13 years at this point? 14 maybe?
What did we meet? Freshman year?
Yeah, 2008.
Yeah, okay.
So however long that is, damn it, I'm just going to do it. Yeah, so we've known him for a super long time. Steve's really into Porsches and car collecting his whole entire life. Not necessarily collecting, but you've always been a gearhead. It's always been something that you've been into. In fact, years ago, me and Trey were trying to get into the car scene, and I remember Grid Life is a festival that we've gone to. It was a music festival / car festival in Michigan, where it's just full of music artists. It's kind of like EDM broy, but whatever. It's still awesome. And people are drifting around the tracks. It's in Gingerman Speedway, so it's only like 2 hours away. And me and Trey were trying to get media passes, and I just hit up Steve, and I was like, yo, we want to catch you doing some drifts. And you had which was it at the time?
It's a 1986 E30 325 ES.
Yeah, that classic.
And before that, too, we were running out with you, like, blasting up some streets, with that thing. That was a fun car.
Yeah, we brought that bad boy out to Mexico.
Oh, yeah?
That was a good time.
You did?
Not really Mexico.
Oh.
Bleep.
What?
Yeah, there you go. Okay.
Oh, yeah. But, like, it was super awesome because we just needed some footage, and you were like, let's do it. Hitting some drifts, doing burnouts and everything, and Trey was running around on foot, like in the middle of the circle with you going in circles, and smoke is just everywhere, and you were just like holding the camera down there, wide angle, just chasing it the whole entire time, and the footage actually turned out great, and we submitted it and actually got media passes to Grid Life, so then we got to go there and shoot a bunch of cars there, which was awesome.
Yeah, that was tight. We were smacking limiter in that bad boy. Titanium valve springs were getting a workout.
Yeah, see, this is all lingo I don't even really know. And if for the viewers listening, we're going to try to keep this car-oriented today. For fun.
Warning.
Yeah, warning. But it's sweet. How long have you been, when did you get into driving and all that stuff?
So I've been working on cars since I was a little kid. My dad and I used to restore early 911s, 914-6s, stuff like that. My first time driving, I think I was 12 years old in a 71 914, just a 2-liter. Basically just been playing with cars my whole life, though. I don't know.
And it sounds like Porsches your whole life, too, like.
Yeah, I mean,
that's
that was
something notable, too. You weren't just.
I was born into it, so that's all I ever really knew growing up. So obviously in my high school years, I felt a little rebellious and felt like I had to experience the other cars out there.
Yeah, you had the Jeep Laredo, which I loved.
Yep, I had a couple of those.
Yeah, and then the Scion.
Yeah, flipped that.
Yeah.
Then I had a Hyundai Tiburon, blew the motor in that.
I remember that.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then I blew the motor in a Ford Escape in high school as well.
Oh, yeah, you did have the Escape.
Same one as you.
Yeah, I love my Escape, even though it's a rusty piece of shit. It still goes.
In.
It still kicks. But yeah, so like...
I mean, you are pretty much like the staple story for Porsche, if you will, you know? I mean, I feel like their whole like background, I mean, and John and I doing this like brief research and like kind of trying to understand Porsche when we were doing that piece with you in featuring one of your cars, but just the whole idea of like family and like keeping it in the family and like just like growing without the, or like through the generations with Porsche, like I feel like they kind of have that overarching like community, if you will, or collectors or just like diehard fans.
Absolutely.
To where like I feel like your story, like growing up and like just like having Porsche in your blood is like, I feel like you're a poster child for Porsche. It's kind of cool.
In a way, yeah.
Yeah, it's sweet.
I mean, my biggest learning lesson was going from an Audi TT to an Evo, and just the feeling of closing the door alone was just a wake-up call.
Oh, yeah.
I bought the car sight unseen, went and picked it up, and it was immediate buyer's remorse. I was like, what did I do?
What, the Audi?
No, going from the Audi to the Evo.
Oh, to the Evo.
Yeah. And that's when I knew that it was just a matter of time before I was back in a German car. And I can be thankful that it was a Porsche that round. Currently, still driving a Macan right now. But
You raced the TT at Grid Life.
I did, yeah.
Yeah, and that was another thing. So that was the year that you didn't go. Steve.
Before we shot it or after we shot it?
Before we
The
shot.
year before,
Yeah.
yeah.
So me and Steve went to Grid Life a year before with a couple of our other buddies. And it was really awesome because you guys were racing in the amateur time trials, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So they were actually out there ripping the track at like 90 plus miles an hour. And we were just on the sidelines like, whoa, which was sweet. And Scott like went off and almost like around that corner because he took it way too hot.
That was a tough corner.
Dirt spewing everywhere, and Scott's like, "Oh, my car!" Oh. But
have you ever been on Grattan Raceway? Have you ever ridden on that?
No, I haven't.
I wish. I mean, they're like kind of past. I mean, a couple of years ago, or like 10 years ago now, when I was like racing motocross on the motocross side of that place. I mean, it was in their prime, and I would have loved to see like, I don't know if they ever did, but like Porsche meets there as well. Just because their road course is really cool. It's like a whole lot of elevation change as well as just like it's really big too. So
I love winding corners and elevation changes. Those are my favorite.
I would say it's like just as big as Gingerman, if not bigger. Like as far as elevation change, I should say there's more, but it's really sweet. There's a lot of road bikes that go down there too.
well, the Porsches are all rear wheel drive, right?
Well, the majority of them are. The sports cars are.
Okay.
But they do come in all-wheel for the Cayenne, Macan, Panamera. And then the 911 has a 4S as well.
Okay.
Have you played Forza Horizon 5?
I'm just getting back into it. I just barely touched it, but
I've been on it.
Trey loves Forza. It's the only reason he still has an Xbox instead of a PlayStation.
I would say that's valid, yeah. I mean, racing games are pretty much the only thing that I spend to waste my time with video games with, but that game is mind-blowing. It's huge. Like, the map is just huge. But I've been ripping up Porsches and steady in that game.
that's awesome. Yeah, I actually just got an Xbox last week just to get
Okay.
Forzas.
Whoa, was it
One
a
of
new
them-
one?
Yeah.
The Xbox S, so just enough to play.
Is it the tower? Or is that the next gen?
No, I think
No.
it's like
That's
the
the Xbox
4K
one.
version of the one or whatever.
Okay. Tight.
It's really confusing, all the different things that they have.
Yeah.
It's hard to keep track.
Well, to kind of reel things back in, Steve, what are you doing now? You used to work for GM, and then now you're doing something else? I can never keep up.
Yeah, so I was working with Cadillac and Corvette for a little while, and now I'm working with a company that is basically doing independent engineering in the motorsports and defense industry.
Yeah. What is that company name?
Pratt Miller.
Pratt Miller. Okay.
Yeah.
Are you familiar with Proterra?
No, I'm not.
Okay. That's just that company that the EV people with the
battery.
batteries.
Yeah, Proterra is a battery company that produces batteries for electric car companies. So they're just like one of the leading electric car company stuff. Have you kind of dealt with any electric car sort of stuff, or does your company is it all petrol?
No, I mean, we do electrification and hydrogen propulsion for
Oh, okay.
Class 8 semi-trucks and stuff like that.
Oh, so it's all electric stuff.
No, not necessarily. I mean, we run the racing program for Corvette, so we do a lot of internal combustion stuff.
Okay.
And you said military defense.
Yeah, defense. Our one of our largest contracts is with the Department of Defense. So we do a lot of business in the defense industry, a lot of technology integrations and stuff like that.
Yeah. Is this like classified info?
No. Everything I'm going to say,
the
I'm
stuff
allowed
that
to
they're
say.
sending over to the military isn't too public friendly.
You probably don't see a lot of classified info, do you?
I mean, that's
Classified?
fairly true.
That's classified.
I mean, I am kind of the voice of the company. So if they don't want the world knowing about something and it doesn't need to be aware of throughout the company,
You're not going to say it.
There's a big chance I'm not going to know or I'm not going to say it. So.
Okay. And that's because you're in the communications with them, right?
Yeah, so I'm a communications coordinator, but I wear a lot of hats. I do a lot of marketing and project management.
Dope. Yeah.
Fun stuff.
That's kind of all that we've been into.
Bleeds into what we do as well, I'm sure, just as far as marketing and photography and all that fun stuff.
Yeah, I've been dabbling in graphic design recently.
Okay.
Our creative department
Photoshop, Illustrator, all that fun stuff.
Well, so one of the reasons why Steve's realm of cars and Porsches and stuff has kind of been bleeding into our realm is obviously from the very beginning when we were doing grid life stuff and, we'd like to have a lot of fun and get footage of cars ripping. But we talked, I think it was our first episode or second episode. It was the second episode was the next morning we woke up to go do that Porsche spec ad that we were talking about. And we used Steve's
1961 356 Roadster.
That one.
Yeah. And that was fun because we got to like sit down and pick his brain over a beer and a burger and stuff like that just to like figure out exactly what's up with those cars, kind of, get all the info about it. And you told us a lot about like Porsche statistics and like, how they're timeless. And we came up with a lot of cool like backbone ideas for those ads. But like, tell us more about like this whole entire thing because I know you travel and do competitions with them. I remember your dad was showing us some and you guys keep one of them specifically just for show that doesn't drive, and like you clean the inside with a microfiber cloth like in every single engine crevice, and like when you transfer it, like no dust can get on under anything.
It's like from the 80s and 90s. Yeah, it's like as clean as if you were to buy it off like the showroom floor or something.
Probably cleaner than that, right?
Yeah, a lot of our cars are really clean. We got into the Concours game about 10 years ago, and it's just been a snowball effect for us.
You said Concours?
Yeah, what is that?
Yeah. So Concours is a type of competition, specifically the Concours that we participate in, where you try to return your vehicle to the condition where it rolled off of the assembly line.
Okay.
So original parts, original condition, fit and finish has to be perfect. And a lot of times you get points deducted for having unoriginal paint, aftermarket parts, stuff like that.
Yeah,
and that probably goes down to like the damn zip ties or like really like detail oriented pieces of these cars. I mean, imagine
we have a 98 C2S that we just removed probably 20 engine components just to have replated, so they look perfect. So
replated.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Not replaced, replated.
Yeah. We send them off and they get retreated, recoated, send them back
perfectly.
Yeah.
And it's like that one that we were driving that one day, or that you were driving for that advertisement. There was a small little chip of paint that was taken out of the back, and I was like, "Why don't you guys just fix that?" And I'll let you take the reins on that with how difficult that is.
Yeah, well, silver is a special color to color match. It takes a special eye and a lot of talent to do it, if you can do it at all. It depends on who's looking at it. Some people won't notice, but to do that repair, we would have to repaint at least a quarter to half of the car, and to do it to the level that we want to do it at, that would cost us around $10,000.
Yeah, because you were talking about like just the size of the metallic flakes will show like whatever angle you're looking at the car, you'll see it differently because.
That's insane.
Matching metallic paint is almost impossible. Once you spray it once, you can't match it. I mean, how do you find the exact same size flake that you put in?
Right.
And then you have to get the mixture right. How many flakes did they mix in with that paint? And then on top of that, when you spray it, what direction are you spraying it? Because if those flakes lay down, if the flakes lay down in a different direction than the other panels, the light reflection is going to look different, and that's what you're seeing. All of your
how the hell do you dial that in?
Or like
figure that out? Like, oh yeah, I can see they were like 2 feet away at
I think
a
you
little bit to
don't.
the left.
Yeah, typically, like, if you're going to do it right, you repaint the car.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, because like it's one of those one and done things. I mean, whatever the paint bucket or the paint gun or whatever is like, I feel like if there's an air bubble in the tube with the paint gun, or I don't know, do they use paint guns to paint cars or no?
Yeah, they do. But it's all about the pigments. I mean, where did you buy your pigments? How old are they? Did you shake it, mix it properly? And then if your mixture, like you hand pour it into a glass with certain proportions, and if you mix or mess that up just a little bit, it's going to look different. So
That's like our buddy Nick Kraft's kind of his family owns a
Maserati.
Yeah, one of these Maserati, the Fendi edition, where it has this like limited edition gold flake kind of emerald
like
green paint on it.
It was like 1 of 400
And-
made, right, or something like that.
Yeah, probably even less than that, I would
Yeah.
imagine. But they like same sort of thing where they have like some chips in it, and it's like they're in the position to where like no Maserati dealership in America will touch their car just because they're so afraid of like messing it up, so they have to like send it overseas if they want any repairs or like to paint or like any of that. So
And fun fact, they beat Katy Perry to buy that car because like
I
apparently,
guess they were like, yeah, like at the same time trying to buy this car off of this lot, I think in LA or something.
it was Orange County, yeah.
Jeez.
And
they were
Katy
like,
Perry
yeah.
was also trying to, and then they were just like, "Fuck that, that's ours," which is funny.
flex.
Yeah, but then they drive it all the time. They like it's a daily driver. We've used it for music videos. It's hilarious and it's awesome because like usually that type of stuff people would just keep under like a magnify or like keep under like a glass box, but not this.
I mean, that's awesome. I mean, in my opinion, vehicles are supposed to be used. And in Europe, that's how Porsches are treated. If you look at how people treat them in America, they treat them like a Ferrari, where you're afraid to use it. And by the time you get to it, the battery's dead. But
Yeah.
realistically, I mean, Porsche started creating tanks and submarines for the Russian government during World War II and started building the Volkswagen Beetle. And then that snowballed into a sports car company. And really, they started with building really robust, very well engineered machines.
Yeah, like tractors and shit, right?
Yeah, they made tractors.
That's hilarious. Like seeing like a vintage like orange Porsche tractor.
I picture it with like a wide body kit on it and just like stanced out.
I've seen a few at the Porsche parades too. It's interesting.
That's pretty cool. But
Yeah.
there's still some
You
out
know,
there.
interesting story. Side note: Lamborghini actually started as a tractor company too.
I knew that actually. Yeah.
Who's it's Ford versus Ferrari. Does Lambo have something like a story like that, like against Porsche or anything? Or
I'm not familiar with the names, and my story might not be 100% accurate.
yeah,
But the creator of Lamborghini went to purchase a Ferrari and just felt like it wasn't built well. He said, "I could build one better than this," and he did.
wow,
The Miura.
Wow.
yeah, that's
crazy.
pretty dope.
Do you follow that guy Whistling Diesel on YouTube at all?
Not particularly, but
I just watched. I was getting
Trey
sucked.
loves Whistling
I was
Diesel.
getting sucked in a trap last night. I haven't actually watched his stuff in a long time, but he
You know what he does though, right?
he made this video. Well, he bought these
buys
two.
and destroys stuff, right?
Yeah, it's like a rich ass motherfucker. Who just
he's
destroys
just
everything.
YouTube money out the wazoo. But he bought these R32, the Skyline GTRs, and blew them up within like an hour of having each of them.
Oh my god, that's
And
actually
the-
painful.
And those
Dude,
are the
the
ones that have to get
drive-
imported with
the-
right?
Yeah, they never sold those. In the
Yeah,
US.
they're right hand drive and everything. Like they're badass. They're cool and stuff. But the drive shaft, like they take it out and stuff, and he literally just like taps it on a rock and it just ping explodes. Like it was so delicate. It was insane.
Wow.
I don't understand.
I'm actually gonna have to check that out.
Yeah, I'll show you after this. It's really comical on just how poorly made. Like it was like styrofoam was like packed inside of this metal that they were just like pink and it just like exploded. Like,
I mean,
how the hell is that supposed to?
Was it exposed to like extreme heat before that?
I mean, I would imagine reheat and cool down after so much time makes that metal that brittle. But like, that's your freaking drive shaft right there. Like, you
Jeez.
can't like. It was just snapping. They snapped it in bits that were like this, like chunks, like that, little pieces. It was insane.
I don't really know anything about that stuff. See, one of the things about cars is like I know a little bit about them, but I don't know anything about them. Like you have a lot of knowledge.
He's
You
just
obviously have a lot of
He's just
knowledge.
exploding engines on these things. They showed the pistons that were just like crumpled to bits and like just these blown out freaking cylinder holes that were just destroyed.
Did he legitimately use explosives on them, or
no? He said he was literally so. He bought one.
He used explosives on them, or did he just drive them?
He found one, and he said like he was like getting on it and stuff, and like blew that one up. And he found another one and bought it, like same color and everything. It's kind of cool. But he said he was literally driving that one for 10 minutes, like just idle, like cruising at like 30 miles an hour, not even on it, and just like nothing in the trans or in the shifter anymore, just like
man.
wiggling.
That's nuts. I mean, I believe it though.
Those are old cars to begin with too. So.
Well, I mean, you could pick up a 2JZ or 1JZ Toyota car from the same generation and beat on it for a long time and just do oil changes, you'd be fine. Mm-hmm. But the RB20
they're pushing
and
so much
RB25
power
engines have a lot of weaknesses that I'm aware of. So,
yeah. So Steve, tell me. Okay, I want to shift gears more to put the spotlight back on you again. Because that's what you're here for. We can talk all day about YouTube, but tell me, so like you guys do competitions. How many of them do you do a year? Where's the coolest place you've gone? What's the coolest thing you've ever seen? Okay. Also, fun fact for all the people listening, we were at Grid Life the first year we ever went, and Frankie, the dude who's on TikTok and he's blowing up with the green screen backgrounds and he sells his mustaches, the Pit Viper guy, he was there and he was wheeling around with a Pelican and like a bunch of camera bodies and lenses and stuff. And this is before I even got into video, and I was like, this guy's pretty serious. It seems he gave up that lifestyle for more of a internet meme lifestyle. But I remember seeing videos of you guys like on the highway of like with like what is it with the R, the royalty guys?
Oh, Rally Kings.
Rally Kings. Tell me about that shit, dude. Tell us some cool stories. Yeah, tell us some cool stories like that. Like you guys have gone down. I mean, okay.
Yeah. So Rally Kings, it's a similar organization to the Gumball Rally. It's a road rally. You just go really fast from destination to destination.
That's sweet.
A fucking blast, I gotta tell you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Actually, that has changed my viewpoint on automotive lifestyle moving forward. I plan on going on at least one rally a year for the rest of my life, as long as I can drive.
And those are just like destination to destination as fast as you can?
Yeah, so typically it's 2 to 3 days, maybe 4, depending on what rally you go on. And it's all 5-star hotels every night. Videographers, photographers, car detailers, catered breakfasts.
And you can go on YouTube and look at this stuff and see Lambos and stuff ripping down highways at like 250. Right?
I mean, I've never personally seen someone do 250.
Well, yeah, I don't know shit about cars, but like fast as hell, right?
Yeah. I mean, I was in the UP on 75 in a V10 M6 BMW, and we hit 187, I want to say, and we were just trying to keep up with supercharged Ferrari 458,
up
Lamborghini.
in the UP, just out there, like open ass road.
Hope a deer doesn't come across. Everybody just
that's
explodes.
The only thing. Everyone, I mean, I hit some numbers in the UP too, but like I'm always thinking about that damn deer that's gonna come out. Like that's the only thing.
I don't hit numbers in the UP. Was it 75 in the UP or 65 in the UP?
55 for most of it. It's slow up there, but there's not a cop for anything.
I didn't even know.
You got a radar. You're golden, man. They're using old tech up there.
But you told me, I remember one time you were like, you asked me, you were like, have you ever stuck your arm out of a window going over like 150 miles an hour? And I was like, no. And you were like, it's crazy.
Yeah, it is. I actually stepped out of the sunroof, like half my body out on the highway at about $120 behind 2 R8s. And then I took a video of them launching. And then we
at
followed
120
them.
launching?
Yeah, at 120.
They'll say they launched at 120? What?
Or
And
just
then
like
I hopped
5th
back
gear
in the
to
car.
6th gear real quick.
Well, I think it was probably 4th, 5th.
4th to 5th?
I just hopped back in the car and then kept videotaping right behind him, and we just tried to keep up. But
I feel like you're being rather humble on this podcast. You're starting to open Pandora's box.
This sounds like a blast. I mean, so how do you like? What is is it like an invite process, or like do you pay for like a ticket to participate in this? How organized or like invite exclusive?
You pay by car. By car is 2 people. And there's a limited number of entries per rally. So you just have to know what rally you want to do. You have to have a car that can handle it. Mm-hmm. And you have to have the funds for fuel and speeding tickets.
Yeah, because the speeding
Yeah.
ticket.
So how does that?
But yeah, I thought if you get a speeding ticket of like 16 and over, that's like reckless driving, reckless endangerment, and they'll just like arrest you on the spot, right?
I wouldn't know. What are you looking at?
No, I mean I'm just saying.
I'm just kidding.
Well, like, so let's say Joe Schmo is going down the street in a rally competition, and he's going $150, gets pulled over. Like, are you out the competition?
Do
like,
they
just
stop?
expected to have the radar?
If they're getting pulled over, do they
like,
stop?
I mean, that's all a personal decision. There's typically a traffic lawyer that is a sponsor for the rally, and if you get a ticket on the rally, I believe it's 50% off of your fees with that company.
Wow.
Because this
clutch.
And then there are tactics to this. Like, there's a slow group of people that can't really go past 120 consistently.
Yeah.
There's a faster group that really goes for it, and then there's people that kind of just putting around, going between groups. So
You got
But is there
spotters.
stories like within these? Oop, that just went off.
Yeah, I see.
I do, but my main recommendation is to try to stay in the middle. Don't be in the front, because the people in the front, if the police radio ahead and you're the first one in that county, you're the one getting that ticket, and
Right.
they're going to make you an example for the rally. And then if you're in the tail, if you're too slow, they're going to be picking on you because you're the leftovers and they just heard about you. They're trying to catch up. So if you're in the middle, just behind that front pack, I think that's the ideal place to be.
So is everybody kind of fighting for middle spots?
Not necessarily, no. I mean, this is my tactic. This is my viewpoint on it. I'm sure everybody thinks of it differently.
Mm-hmm. And did you
So
take?
I was just gonna say, is there like, I mean, is there? I'm sure talk on the town and of like people going to all that and like getting locked up and stuff, like serious stuff like that.
Dude,
Because
I
would
bet you guys
imagine,
start.
like you're
you guys
saying,
probably start GoFundMe's and shit, and people are just like have each other's
I don't know,
backs.
man.
Or what?
You got to pay to play in this sport. If you don't have the money to play, then don't risk it.
What?
That's
So
all I
you're
gotta say.
saying you get pulled over going $160, and you're just like, yo, officer, here's $5,000 if you just let me keep going.
No, he means posting bail.
I think that necessarily works more so in the Texas area, but up here,
Valid.
I mean,
You guys did drive down to Texas one time, right?
I wasn't on that rally, but
Okay.
I think they did Tail of the Dragon a few times. I don't know if they made it down to Texas.
See, Tail of the Dragon. What the hell is that, dude? This is a whole different world, Steve. You gotta pretend like we don't know anything about this, because I don't.
Tail of the Dragon, if you're not into cars or the automotive lifestyle, is one of the best driving roads in America. It's down in North Carolina, I believe. It stretches across Virginia, a few different states in that area.
I've driven through North Carolina a bunch. My sister lives there. What area?
Yeah, what does that kind of look like? Is it like super windy mountain roads, or is
Very
it like,
windy.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. If you look it up, there's probably a bunch of videos of people like crashing their Ferraris on it. And
I was
stuff
just
like
about to say how many times do they have to get a pickup truck, or I'm sorry, pickup truck, like tow trucks and lifts to like pull cars out of the mountain passes.
that. I mean, I'm sure there's a tow company that's on top of that. Because everybody goes
crazy.
there. It's like
It's
a
another
biker
sponsor.
destination and automotive destination. So car clubs from all over the U.S. travel there.
I love that, like, just inner community, I guess, of that. I mean, it's sort of surreal, or like I don't want to say as stupid as like, or not, I'm not calling it stupid, but like just as like Fast and the Furious, how there's like actually kind of that, if you will.
Oh,
Like,
yeah,
there's,
totally.
like, just like street racing communities. And I mean, I think that's such like a whole like untapped thing.
Yeah,
from
especially
a-
in the Motor City, Detroit area. I mean, there's a huge street racing scene here.
Oh, yeah.
but, I mean,
Yeah.
I have to take it a step back. I think there's like a Fast and the Furious 1 culture.
Yeah, I'm
But
not
not like a
talking
Fast
Fast and the
7.
Furious 9. Yeah, no, fuck that. Like,
Yeah.
I'm talking like 1, 2, maybe Tokyo Drift out here.
Yeah, I was just about to say. So you know Alexis, right?
Alexis.
Colombo, maybe? No.
I don't believe so.
Okay, so she is a friend of mine, and she is a tattooer, and she's really cool and awesome. But she also like is into cars and snowdrift and like all that other stuff. She used to have an Audi TT, then she had the WRX wagon, like one of the, I don't know, whatever earlier generations they are, the more bubbly ones. But her boyfriend is super into the racing scene, and he drives like a Datsun or something like that, like something crazy. But they were going to move to Japan before COVID happened. And she was telling me this the other day at the tattoo shop when I was talking to her. Not only were they going to move there, they were going to get their cars shipped over there. And then on top of that, they were going to like, they had like an apartment ready, all this other stuff, like in a town where like there's a lot of, he has friends over there and stuff. But they like had this raceway with like a garage and everything where like you pay a monthly fee like in that scene in Tokyo Drift when they're like all drifting in that garage area, and it's like you pay a fee and like it's basically like your shop.
Oh, you're talking like a parking garage, not like a race garage?
No, it's like a race garage and then like a race track up against it, and you pay like monthly fees.
Yeah.
But it's crazy because I was like, man, they really do be Tokyo drifting out there. Like that's it.
They do be Tokyo drifting.
Like, you only see it in movies, but it's real.
Man,
They do be
I know
drifting.
that's not Fuji Speedway. I'm trying to remember the name of that racetrack. It's probably up on the top of those mountains. There's
I don't
like
know.
5 racetracks that are connected.
But it was crazy to me. I was like, what? You guys were seriously that about that life that you were about to do it? And she was like, oh, yeah. But then COVID happened, and then
Dude, shipping
Japan
your
just
car-
completely shut down the borders.
Shipping your car to Japan.
So that's the one thing
stupid.
that kind of threw
10
me
racks.
off was, why don't you liquidate your vehicles here and go buy much cooler
Go
cars?
They
buy
might
a
have. They
right-hand-
might have not
yeah.
been. Alexis, if you're listening to this, and I'm botching all of this, and I'm an idiot, but they might have not shipped it off. I don't know. But like she
Go
was
get
telling
that
me how
right-hand
like,
drive.
they were
Yeah,
just
yeah.
picking everything up and moving.
That racetrack is called Abisu Circuit.
A Bisu circuit.
Yeah, I used to be really into drifting, but I kind of fell off because Porsche.
Yeah, you don't drift Porsches.
Yeah, I mean you could. I just don't have the money for that.
Yeah. So tell us more about these competitions and stuff, because this is kind of like a really cool like father and son type of deal. Because like me and my dad, we kind of have stuff like that, but it's usually just business. It's not like, yo, let's go work on a Porsche.
Yeah. So my dad and I used to actually have kind of a rough relationship when I was a little kid, and Porsches are actually what smoothed that over.
Yeah, that's dope.
I actually think of my dad as one of my best friends, and I just go over there on a
That's
regular basis
awesome.
to just work on cars with him.
Trey, your dad's a super big gearhead too.
Yep. Yeah, he's a mechanic over there. He's not working on Porsches. He's working on a little bit shittier of cars, but trying to get him to get wrenching on some nice cars. But we'll
It's
see.
funny you say that. I think we all here have some daddy issues, but like I don't have any cool thing to bond with my dad like that over. But that's sweet. Like, what do you guys do all the time?
I was gonna say, man, you could have some ping pong competitions with your dad.
The fact that you even do that shows how far back this relationship goes. Day one shit.
Well, tomorrow I'm actually going over there to remove both exhaust mufflers off of our 98 C2S, and then I'm gonna polish the aluminum on them.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean,
For what?
That's one of the cars that we just took 20 components off of to get them replated. So,
What are you guys doing that for? Are you taking it to a competition or what?
I mean, it is a new exhaust that we put on it, but we're just getting it ready for competitions, essentially.
So like with your cars, I mean, you have a garage where you store all of your Porsches, but like for the ones that are like those show cars, I guess how often do you have to, or like do you find yourself, I mean, this is kind of loaded, but like how often do you find yourself having to replace like parts that are just like withering away from like just simply sitting there, you know? I mean, you guys aren't like driving and beating these cars, obviously. Like
Yeah.
they're just like sitting there.
So the one component on a car that ages out in the fastest, in my opinion, is anything that's rubber.
Yeah.
Yeah, obviously, yeah.
But all of our cars have been restored. So every rubber component has been replaced in the last 10 years, probably.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
It's not
So like
something
you're
we have to
mainly
worry about.
kind of just like polishing and like getting all the dust off of things.
I
for the
mean, our
competition.
71 911T is our show car. That's the whole purpose of that car, is to win.
Win what? Racing or show?
Show.
Okay.
Yeah, we've driven probably a couple hundred miles on that car in the
Whoa.
past couple of years.
So that's the one that's under the glass box.
Yeah, that one is just kind of waiting. I mean, we're doing a couple things here and there based on the scores that we got at the last competition, because if you're not improving, then you're going to get beaten.
And
But
where do these competitions take place?
they're all over the U.S., so we usually compete at the Porsche Parade. It's a national event, happens annually. And there's a Porsche club in every state, probably multiple, depending on the size of your state. And all of these clubs are a part of this nonprofit organization, and them in combination with the Porsche family throw these giant Porsche festivals every year. And
Whoa.
they're just giant, or really big Porsche-specific concours events. We race out or rent out racetracks, do open track, and then time trials. There's rallies that we do, a bunch of really cool stuff, but
Do you guys ever race them?
we don't race our Porsches. My dad did when I was a little kid, but he kind of got out of that as we got older. I think it had to do with self-preservation.
To not crash.
Makes sense, yeah.
And get
Yeah.
hurt.
Yeah, but-
Is that like a thing? Like people actually like get seriously hurt all the time? Is that like statistic that's there?
And if
It
you have
depends
a,
on how
if
hard
you have
you're
a
pushing
big
it.
crash, yeah, I mean,
Yeah, if you
people die doing like everything, you know. So.
Yeah, there's a risk involved with everything, so it just matters like what you do, how you handle it, and it's all about staying in your comfort zone, in my opinion. So
Cool. Comfort zone. That's like for losers, though, right? You don't win in the comfort zone. No, I'm just
Fucking
kidding.
send it.
I'm just kidding. If you're not first, you're last.
that's one of my things, though, is like I wanted to get into the track scene, but really at the end of the day, if you're not getting into it for competition's sake against other people, you're just shaving lap numbers against yourself, and that gets boring after a while.
Yeah,
And
you're
expensive.
Very expensive.
and you're like putting all that wear and tear on your car and stuff too.
Exactly. Yeah, you don't want to track all your cars, just one specific car.
That's one of the reasons I want, like, I've always wanted to get into riding motorcycles and stuff. But like even Mark and all of our homies, they bought bikes like in our youth and they not raced them, but they ripped them and stuff like that. But then they were like, Mark's like, yeah, I feel like I'm gonna die. Like I think a driver is not gonna be paying attention and is gonna hit me. Like I'm not worried about myself. I'm worried about other drivers hitting me.
I would say too, like kind of just like it ties into the whole automotive thing and like with your upbringing with your dad and stuff too. Like with my upbringing, like I would say like one of the most like strongest things from growing up is like riding motocross and like my dad like pushing me to ride motocross and racing motocross and like teaching that discipline was like one of the biggest things I feel like as just like a life skill growing up from a young age, like just with this auto sports and like as you're kind of, I mean, that just came to my mind as you're talking about like on the track and like racing like cars and stuff. Like it was the same sort of thing with dirt bikes and stuff. So
it's about learning self-control, learning your limits, and how far you're capable of going, and then slowly pushing that boundary at a rate that you're comfortable with, because you know that if you fuck up, it's your ass on the line, not someone else's.
And starting off at like 6, 7, 8 years old, you know, and like
that's
really learning those like parameters and those boundaries and
at a young age,
pushing it and just going harder and harder as you progress.
I mean, I used to go-kart at a really young age too, so like driving dynamics were already ingrained in me. It was really natural for me to drive.
Pushing that apex.
Yeah, I mean, I was stealing my parents' car at a young age before I had my license, so it's like it was all natural to me. But being able to really capitalize on that and create that muscle memory and that kind of habit at a young age so that you can build on that, because I mean, doing rev match downshifts and you know, just playing around with the gears, you don't think about it one bit. You just do it and make it a finesse. You make the car dance.
Second nature, for sure.
Yeah,
it's a beautiful thing.
I recently learned how to drive a stick, but I only did it for a weekend. And like my whole entire life, I've never known how to drive a stick. And it was always one of those things that kind of like sat on my shoulders as like an embarrassment, you know, like toxic masculinity style. Like, oh, what? I don't know how to drive a stick. I'm not a man, you know? And then, but like none of my family had stick shifts. And like my dad would be like, yeah, I drove a stick throughout my whole entire youth. And my mom would be like, my first car was a stick. And everybody's like, this is a stick. I'm like, fuck, dude, I don't know how to drive that.
Not knowing how to drive a stick doesn't mean that you're not a man. It just means you don't know how to go fast.
Well, like, or you're just in a situation where, like, because this has happened before with one of my friends, like, you're in an emergency situation where you need to drive the car and somebody else can't. You're like, dude, I don't know how to drive a stick. So then somebody else has to come swoop in and save the day. But to tell the story of how I learned how to drive a stick, it was really cool. Me and my buddy Jeremy Herm were at the dunes, and it was like 5 a.m, and we fell asleep on the beach. It was like clear night, beautifully warm, and I woke up and I was like, all right, well, we got to go back to the campsite. So I like wake him up and we go back to the car, and he's like, no, I think this is time for you to learn how to drive a stick. Like we're out in the middle of nowhere in the woods and stuff. And I was like, dude, I don't know if I can do this. And he like put his hand on my knee and he was like, all right, you just gotta feel it, bro. And I was like, feel it? And like, you know, like this is a weird, it's very weird, but like this is like a guy that, you know, he's cool. Like we vibe like this. And he's like, no, feel it. Like the engine's gonna talk to you. You just gotta feel it. And I was like, really? And like we start moving. He's like, let go, stall. Okay. You didn't feel it, John. And I was like, okay.
Just slip it in.
Yeah, just like nice and slow. And I did. And then I was driving a stick, and the whole entire way back, like I was going in and out of gears and shifting and even like parking and stuff and like going into reverse even. And I just remember like when I got back, like the whole way back, I was driving with like the biggest smile on my face. And I was just like, oh my gosh, I'm doing it.
Yeah,
so
getting
like,
going is the hardest part.
That whole intimidation aspect just flew off my shoulders. And I know it was like an eco car. So like those transmissions are like a little different than like a Ferrari.
What kind of car was it?
It was just a Subaru Crosstrex.
I have a quick story about people not being able to drive your car because it's stick. My old car was a stick, and
the Honda,
the good old Civi, the drift machine, and
dragging ass.
I was with my girlfriend Dina, and we were at this music festival, and I broke my leg. I didn't know I broke it at the time. I just had fallen off this slack line wrong. It was like a couple feet off the ground, and like my weight was just weird, and I like thought I twisted my ankle super bad. But we were like, all right, yeah, let's call it and like go home. Or before that, actually, we were like debating whether I go to the hospital up here when we were like on the west side of the state. So I'd be going to like Grand Rapids Hospital or something up there. And I was like, well, like, let's just drive all the way home. And like, cause she couldn't drive.
What happens when they boot it and put it in a cast? If it's
I know.
broken?
Then I really can't drive, you know, like
right
then
leg
we're
then?
fucked. Yeah. Yeah. It was my right leg. So like that was it, you know? So I was like, well, let's drive all the way back. So we drove all the way back to St. Joe's here, and I drove with a broken leg. I broke my tibia and fibia.
So basically,
I found
both
out,
bones
so
completely disconnected.
just gone. Yeah, and I had to drive all the way home with it because
I hope you had cruise control, homie.
I did. Yes, that was a good saver. That was a
Yeah.
lifesaver for sure. Thankfully, no traffic because that would have been fucking nightmare.
Yeah, for sure.
See, Dina needs to learn how to drive a stick.
Well, I was
Yeah.
gonna say one of the flip side of that is like having a manual car is basically an anti-theft device.
Yeah, select few are going to be able
Totally.
to steal your device. or
That's
your
how I felt
car.
about my fixed-geared bicycle, but it still got stolen.
I remember Mariah falling on that bad boy at Grid Life.
Oh my God, she did. You were there for that when we were
No.
riding it on the track.
No, that
he
was
wasn't.
the same year.
Oh, that sucked. Dude,
Yeah.
she did.
We
hurt
did walk the
herself.
track
biffed it.
though.
Yeah,
I don't
she
think- I
did
don't think I
biff it.
remember her
exactly
falling.
like the situation I'm talking about. I feel like I hope that whatever homeless person or like no, okay, that's insensitive.
Damn.
I hope that whatever person stole my bike biffed it because fuck that person.
I'm sure they did, John.
Yeah.
Just didn't know how to brake, and we're just like, wait,
First
why are
time
keep
they
going?
came to a stop, yeah.
Yeah, they're like, oh, got flipped. Yo, there's another funny story at Grid Life. Okay, two funny stories. Steve, on accident, like was put in a pretty tight position and had to take a very slow moving, painful, not wide enough turn and got. What happened with the Audi TT in the garage when all those people wouldn't get out of your way when you were doing like a check-in?
Oh, right, tech inspection.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was trying to like, nobody was moving out of my way. I was in this little garage bay. There's a door behind me and a door in front of me. And I have to get around this crowd of people that are right outside.
Yeah.
And I like asked them to move. They moved a little bit. So I was just trying to squeeze by and
At
I
a music festival.
barely scraped my rear fender. But it wasn't that big of a deal. It buffed right out. I think we used
No, this is the funny.
vodka.
Yeah, that's the funny part. It was Captain Morgan.
Oh, it was Captain Morgan. Okay.
And I specifically said like I was just laying in the sun and I had the fifth of Captain Morgan because I was drinking it and I was like, Steve, why don't you try this? And you spent like an hour trying every single thing you could to get the paint off, and then you put the Captain Morgan on it and it just like wiped right off.
Yeah, it was.
And you were like,
It
yes.
was like a little victory on its own. That was great.
And then another victory that was it might have been that the night before. Yeah, because you had to weigh in that night. I had my Pelican case with like all my camera equipment and stuff in it, and on the outside of my Pelican case are the master locks to keep it all locked up, but they weren't code master locks, they were key master locks. And then I locked my keys inside the Pelican. So
I remember that. Yep.
Yeah. So and we're all like parked in the field. So like I had to move my car out of the way so Steve could move his car, because he's like, yo, let's just move this now because we're gonna go to the music. By the time we get back, we're probably not gonna want to move cars, so let's just move it now.
Because I had to go on the track the next morning.
And you had to be at inspection at like 6 a.m. or something, right?
Really early.
Yeah. So then Steve was like, can you move your car? And you're just waiting. And I was like, where are my keys? And I couldn't find them. And then I just like shook my Pelican and they were in there. And I was like, dude, I can't open it because the keys are inside the Pelican and it's locked with 2 master locks. So then I'm riding around on a BMX bike in the pits, in the car pits where they like work on their cars. It's like all these really drunk dudes. And
You just look like the sketchiest person.
no, yeah, and it
asking
was
people to-
worse because like my hair was just as long as it is now, and I think I was wearing like basketball shorts and I didn't have a
looked like a
shirt
woke,
on.
like-
Yeah, I didn't have my shirt on, and it was like 9 p.m. But the beauty of it is everybody was crushing beers. So then I just I was on a BMX bike, and then I like rolled up and I was like, "Yo, you guys, and you guys got like some sort of bolt cutters or something so you can open my Pelican case?" And the dude just thought I stole someone's.
Yeah,
Pelican
that's what I'm
case.
saying. You probably look sketchy as hell riding around like, hey, can you open this for me?
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
Just like this Pelican.
And the
like-
first guy was like, hell no, get away from me. And then the second guy was like literally like sitting in his truck bed, like chugging Budweiser. And he was like, had to dip in and like spit on the ground. Like, and he's like, got some bolt cutters in my truck. And I was like, dude, thank you so much. And then like we go back to his truck and he snips it off and he's like, by the way, is this even yours? Like, what's in here? And I was like, dude, it's all my camera equipment. He was like, oh, okay. And then it was a crisis completely averted. But it was.
That's a great example of how great the car community is, though. I mean, that was the end of a probably 8-hour drift day. All those guys have been drifting.
Yeah.
I know the guy with the E30 had an SR20 in it, and he had to rebuild his entire cylinder head up there.
All night
middle
long.
Of the day, yeah. End of the day, he built it throughout the night, and he was back on track the next morning. And then, but that's a great example. Like, you go over there, and you're at a car event. These guys all share a similar passion. They've been working hard all day, and they just know you just need one thing. They're obviously willing to help you out.
Yeah.
Unless they suspect you stole that.
Yeah. Which I'm glad, you know, in all reality, it was all my shit. So, like, he really helped me out. Because then you wouldn't have been able to race. That was the whole reason you would have went up there. I would have single-handedly ruined the whole weekend.
I mean, we could have moved like 4 other cars and gotten me out, probably, but
maybe.
I don't necessarily recall the entire parking organization.
I don't think we could have. I think we were super in there.
Yeah, we were pretty packed and stacked.
Yeah. But what's your next plan with like what's going on in the future with all your car stuff?
So I have a 2015 Porsche Macan S. I've owned it for 2.5 years, and I just hit 90,000 miles. So my goal is just to do some routine maintenance, keep that bad boy on the road, buy a house, and then buying this red 911 for my dad.
There you
Hell
go.
yeah.
Yeah, in that order.
I noticed, are you out of beer?
I am.
Should we go get another beer?
Can we do a...
Yeah, we can do whatever the hell we want.
All right. Yeah.
All right.
Let's regroup in like 5.
Yeah. We're back in it.
All right.
Tight.
Dude, I'm so tired. I went rock climbing earlier, and my hands are just like...
I feel like everybody I talked to today said that.
Yeah.
It was a long week. I feel like we probably clocked like 50 hours in Zoom alone.
Yeah, it's pretty...
We had so many Zooms this week. It was
I feel
insane.
The race season is coming up for Corvette. Actually, the Roar Before is this weekend, so things are really kicking off for me.
Do you have an advantage at your job because of your car background?
The fact that I understand engineering lingo and I can communicate with people on a technical level,
That's
and the
probably
fact that
huge,
I understand the racing series really helps that a lot.
Yeah.
So do you guys kind of slow down in like being in Michigan, obviously? Do you kind of slow down in these winter months? Or like you said, I mean, you have this Corvette, so are you kind of national company, if you will?
Oh, this is a big company.
Well, yeah, I mean, obviously they're supplying. Yeah, obviously.
We always have business, but the racing season dies down for a couple of months. Things slow down a little bit. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Especially internal communications. We talk about races and schedules and stuff like that a lot. So
Here, can I have you pull your microphone closer to your face? I'm gonna lower your own voice volume in your headphones. So yeah, you can. It's not gonna be as loud in your ears.
There we go.
But yeah, so when I went to their website when he was telling me about it, there's like engines and missiles, and I was like, whoa, this is a serious company.
yeah, we do a lot of really cool stuff.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, I'm really happy with it.
Yeah, tell us about what that deal you just facilitated for your company.
So I don't know if I should really go too far into it, but I just ran a paid campaign and was able to secure a $2 million contract for some equipment we developed, which is really exciting.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Definitely created some job security with that one.
Yeah,
nice. Congrats. That's huge.
Adding to your resume and stuff.
Definitely, yeah.
Sounds like you're bringing a lot to the table with this job, and they're
know,
probably eating it up.
I try to bring as much value as I can because it's a really great environment coming out of a big corporation like General Motors and coming into a smaller engineering-based company that focuses on motorsports and defense. It was really refreshing.
I mean, and you said you're kind of teaching yourself graphic design and like Photoshop and Illustrator and all that.
I'm always learning new things, but the best part is that I'm essentially my own boss. So,
there we go.
You set priorities and you get stuff done. That's
never stop learning. That's the huge thing right there. Like
Yeah.
YouTube University, if you're not taking classes or whatever, or like reading books. Like,
I'm a certified YouTube mechanic, so I can vouch for it.
Yeah, so I was thinking about this early when we were talking. There's always like that zombie apocalypse situation, like in movies and stuff, and they always pull the mirror down and there's keys that'll start the car and they're like, oh, let's go. Like that's not going to happen in real life, like especially after like a year or so. So like you're the type of guy that you'd want that we'd want on the squad, because I feel like you can do anything with an engine, like, you know, everything in and out of a car, where it's like, as long as you have the tools, I assume you could fix it, right? Right? I mean, is that
so we're gonna count on you in case this, if shit ever hits the fan. We're coming to you.
Sometimes certain systems catastrophically fail, but if you have the right tools, I think you can jury rig yourself out of any situation.
Do you think you know, like, mostly the inside and outs of, like, most cars just because of how they work?
I think that I know things to a certain extent. If you're opening up an engine case and you're going to start replacing components, I think it's really a good idea to have a professional on hand. Dude, because when you start messing things up on the inside of an engine, there's clearances, things have to be torqued exactly right, and you're running those engines to high RPMs. For me, I like to slap limiter, let me tell you. Like, you set a soft limiter, you do, instead of fuel cut, you do spark cut, and you just start pushing flames out of the exhaust.
I don't even know what that means.
Start two-stepping it. What was I about to say? Yeah, my dad, just like how he could recognize your car just by like that short little video of the underneath of it. He's like, yeah, is that a 2003
2006? It looks like a Ford Escape. Damn.
Just like off-ramp. That dude can tear apart and put together any engine, I would say, with his eyes closed. It's insane.
That's awesome.
Like, at his job, like, I guess I didn't really realize how much like credit he has there, but like they call him Sarge there at his shop.
That's awesome.
And like everyone comes to him like, yo, I can't get this part, and he's like, dude, just like psh, 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 done. Like, what do you mean? Andy was saying the cool thing about like, I mean, about like wrenching and mechanics and stuff. So like the way they price out jobs is they have like this database that kind of tells you
how many hours,
how long it takes. But my dad was saying, he's like, yeah, so like there's kind of like, we have all these like hacks and tricks to like, this job says it takes 8 hours, but like really I know how to like pop the whole like interface off and like go in the back way and get it done in like 15 minutes and still get paid for those 8 hours. So
exactly.
Like, he like knows all these little like workarounds and tricks, and I was like, damn, like that's pretty cool. Like, I didn't think about that. Like,
I feel like that's a skill set that's almost dying off nowadays.
Oh,
it
yeah,
is.
It for sure is. Yeah, there's not that many.
It 100% is, yeah. I mean, if I look at my old Porsches, we have a mechanic that's been a family friend since I was born. Essentially, my entire life he's known me. And he has skills that are essentially dying out. We know one other group of people down in Ohio that can do these things, and then a group of people, a large community of people in California. I mean, that's where the majority of Porsches reside in the U.S. But I am constantly, you know, essentially his apprentice. He comes and does concierge work for us in our garage. Every time he does a job, I'm trying to learn exactly how to do it, because once they're gone, who's going to keep these cars going? Let alone the fact
go
that
extinct, pretty much.
I mean,
is what
even if we
essentially is.
Even if we have fuels to drive them, who's going to be able to drive them?
Yeah.
You know, I'll be driving mine. I don't know about you guys.
You're like, if you want me to fix yours, it's going to cost a shitload of money.
But like, that is so real, though. There is like such that, I mean, risk, I guess, of like a dying craft, in that sense of like, it could essentially go extinct to the where, like, let's say it is like these last two dudes who only know how to like properly do this one thing, you know, and like they pass away or something. Like, there's certain thing, I mean, like, way down the line, I mean, I know there's a bigger community than just like two dudes, you know, but like,
yeah, but
just the
eventually
risk of that,
it'll
like,
get to that point.
Exactly, is what I'm saying. Yeah.
And then the thing is that like there are workshop books and you know, guides on how to do service and maintenance on these old Porsches, but if you have the suspension geometry set up as it rolled out of the factory, it's not a good setup, essentially. For 356s in particular, you have to dial them in and change camber and all of this other stuff to really make them handle well. So, I mean, if you follow the guidebook, you're going to go, oh, this doesn't drive well. No shit.
So it's like, yeah, you need some old head who like knows exactly what they're doing.
The hot rodders that learned how to race them. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Jeez.
So.
And it's one of those things too, where it's like those skilled trades are, it's because they are dying off, are just going to get more and more expensive. So it's like, that's why in the past, where it's like, when it comes to like replacing a strut or like doing this or doing that, I'm just like, man, I just want to go on YouTube and do it, because paying somebody is just going to be bullshit. You know what I mean?
And I encourage you to do that. You should go on YouTube and do it. But you should make a list of everything you need to do and check it off as you do it to make sure you've done everything. You don't want to forget something.
Yeah.
And number two, Loctite and your torque wrench are your friend.
I was gonna say torque wrench to know that you're like torquing it to the right amount and stuff. Like those tools aren't cheap either, but like
they're not cheap. Yeah, exactly. Like, I mean, if you don't work on cars a lot, then you don't know how much 30 pounds of pressure feels like 30 foot-pounds. If you work on cars a lot, you can go, oh, okay, it's just 30 foot-pounds.
Because you got to crank bolts to a certain torque. And
you don't just tighten them as hard as you possibly can.
Absolutely not.
No. Yeah. And then, I mean, that's all the way down from everything from the lug nuts to the wheels to all the engine bolts and stuff. They
especially the engine bolts. Yeah.
The engine bolts.
And then all of your suspension bolts too. Yeah. So how far you tighten those down on an old car changes, camber and position and stuff. So it's really important.
But like they have like tools, like it's like a big wrench that'll have a little readout and you can see how many pounds you're putting in. So,
or the really nice ones are digital and they beep at you.
It's crazy because my grandpa, World War II vet, super badass, worked in GM on the assembly line for 30 years, moved there from the West Virginia coal mines because he was like sick of coal mining and the plants opened up. My uncle was dating my aunt and he was like, pulled in the driveway and his transmission was so bad that he couldn't shift it in reverse. And it was like, I think it was like a GTO or something.
It was just gone.
No, yeah, it was just gone. He could only drive forward. He couldn't drive backwards. And he went to pick up my aunt on it for a date before they were married. And my grandpa was like, why don't you just back in? He's like, I can't, because like I can't drive in reverse. And he was like, all right, well, take my car and then tomorrow you're going to come over here and we're going to fix this transmission. And like I know that like even like most mechanics don't necessarily know how to rebuild a transmission. You know what I mean?
Transmissions are their own thing.
Yeah, but it's like then my grandpa back in the day, he was like, yo, we'll just do it tomorrow. And it's like, well, how do you have all that knowledge to do that shit?
I mean, that's awesome. Transmissions are typically simple if you're thinking about an older style transmission.
Would you be able to even get close to an old thing like that and know how to do it?
I mean, yeah, I could crack open the E30 transmission on my BMW or something like that. But for my Porsche, I have a PDK, which is a dual clutch, super complex transmission. I would pull it out as a unit and bring it to a professional.
Yeah. Jeez.
And with those newer cars too, so much stuff is under warranty or factory too that you're just taking it right to a dealer to do all that stuff anyways.
My Porsche is 7 years old, and when it comes down to it, the replacement cost of that PDK transmission is $15,000. So,
well, yeah, factory's always going to be through the roof. But I guess with a 7-year-old car, yeah, but like
the unit, like a refurbished unit, bro, like
not even crazy. No labor included.
Yeah, no, just the component. So that is one of the most expensive components on my car. So I just kind of steer clear of that, but I do all of my other maintenance.
Yeah, that's sick. I don't know how to do any of that shit. There was something else I wanted to bring up. Oh, yeah. What do you think the biggest threat to the car industry is? Because I know a lot of people are like, the same type of people that are like, let the car jobs. They're like Elon Musk.
Or like, do you know anything about that, those laws that they were trying to crack down? I don't know if I mentioned that to you before in the past. I think I might have actually. But they were trying to crack down on all those emission laws where like all the aftermarket parts were basically going to, or like aftermarket companies are basically like shitting their pants because, I mean, kind of similar to like what California.
Diesel Brothers had a big thing to do with that for the diesel community. But California was definitely the first to start implementing laws like that.
I don't know. That would completely kill like the whole like drag racing scene or even like just street racing sports scene, because like the bill that they were trying to pass would basically mean that like if you were to take your 1969 Nova out to the drag strip, the emission, it would have to pass the same emissions test that it did in 1969. So like you basically couldn't do anything as far as aftermarket tuning or modding. Like these cars would basically have to be like stock, which is just like
that's killing really unfortunate, man. Yeah. I mean, in my opinion, I guess the way of saying it would be grandfathered in when you have a car that's older than having catalytic converters. I think it was sometime in the late 70s, early 80s that they started doing that. Like you just don't get tested. And that's the great thing about living in Michigan is we don't even have any laws in place for that. Yeah, there's no safety inspections, there's no emissions
everybody would
testing.
First of all, our car insurance is through the roof, so no one would be able to afford to drive anyways if they had to do all those emission testings. And then like the rust from the salt and the snow would just destroy everything. But pretty much. And I don't want to get political here, but like just a small rant. is that I think all those emission laws are completely bullshit, and I think it's the government like totally trying to pass off like all the emissions.
Well,
they've
it's
also
a
been trying
distraction tactic. Realistically, like how many emissions do vehicles put out every year in comparison to what corporations are putting
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's exactly
So,
my point.
out? Us wasting our time trying to prevent emissions with vehicles is a joke, in my opinion.
It's
And
kind
they've
of
been
like,
trying to shut down like the whole racing scene for ages now with
they
rules
wanna,
and regulations.
They want to get the culture to leave racing so that they can transition us over to electric, and it's all because of the large corporations.
yeah, and what it honestly comes down to is like you just like, first of all, your electric car is still being powered by electricity that is produced by coal and fossil fuels, which is like bad. It's not coming out of
the process
tailpipe.
of mining the materials for your electric battery are worse than driving an 80s
Lithium.
car.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's like, and then like also, what is it? The 3 largest barges in the whole world of shipping containers produce in one day the exact same amount of emissions that every single car in the world produces in one day.
Well, not to mention the factories that are producing the batteries themselves. Their emission regulations are way more frugal and not hashed out yet, as opposed to what petrol and gasoline and oil factories are, to where out of their smokestacks, it's so regulated to where they're basically just pumping hydrogen into the air. So
On top of that, how many of those battery companies were outside of the U.S. with different regulations?
exactly, who knows?
And then an additional factor here are, if everybody were to get an electric car, our electric grid would fail. It's already on the brink of failing. So
that's
there's
a
so
crazy
much
thing to think about too.
So much infrastructure that needs to be built up before we can even really transition there, that we have a lot of work to do if we're going to do that.
Well,
That's all I
also
can say.
what it comes down to is it's like, what is it? 23 North toward Brighton. They put in the flex lane. In the flex lane, it's like, okay, I get
Shut
it.
down 90% of the time.
Yeah, exactly. But it's like,
that's bullshit.
I get it. Like, you know what? Let's make a lane that we can put more cars in, so there's less traffic and the traffic's not as bad. Okay, how about instead of making a lane for more cars, we figure out how we can make a community that doesn't require people to drive all over the place. Like Ypsilanti, like, you know, it's a small community. You can walk everywhere. You can go to the store. You can go get coffee. You can do anything. There's like grocery stores and markets all around. Like that's how places like villages and shit. Like now you have like this infrastructure of like cars driving back and forth. Like we should
50 minutes a day, you know.
We should be thinking about how we can do less driving in that essence.
I think we've actually moved a lot in that direction within the last couple of years because of the pandemic. I mean,
Totally.
How much do you really have to travel? I used to drive to Detroit every day.
Yeah, you were going to the GM building at 6 a.m. in the morning. You had to clock in at 6 or something?
Yeah, I was flexing out there real early.
That sucks.
I mean, it is what it is. I enjoy driving, so it wasn't a big deal for me. I leave before people get on the road, and I flex out to some good music, you know. Some people think when they're in the shower. I think best when I'm driving.
Yeah.
But
It's valid.
I don't want to be putting that money miles on my Porsche. I can't afford a cheap daily driver, so I'm driving that bad boy, and I would much rather just drive to the grocery store and to hang out with my boys and work remotely.
Yeah, that makes
You can
sense.
be just as effective away from work as you are in work, and if you can't be, hire somebody else.
That's a personal problem. Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, COVID definitely opened the door to Zoom and stuff. I mean, we said we spent probably 50 plus hours this week on Zoom. So
We would have had to cut our meeting time in half if we were to have to drive everywhere.
I think I thought about that today, actually, is just like that, like if we were to, that exact thing, if we were to have to drive to all of those meetings and like be in person for all of those, how much less we would have been able to achieve. And I think it was, I was thinking back with
Yeah. But like kind of to go back to what I was saying, what do you think the biggest threat to the car industry is now? I mean, and where do you think the car industry should go? And just give me a little bit of insider knowledge on this
I
stuff.
don't know if there's really a threat to the industry as a whole. I mean, the whole industry is going to have to adapt together. And if there are companies that aren't adapting, they're going to get left behind. But
Unless
I
the
think
government
that
bails them out.
because of the way that the world works, there's always going to be a need for independent transportation. So I just think that we're at a transitional state where we're moving from internal combustion to hybrid. We've obviously been doing hybrid for over a decade now, and we're starting to transition to full electric.
Yeah.
I don't personally think that full electric is the end goal.
Or the
I think
answer,
that this
really.
is a stepping stone to where we're going.
Yeah.
I think we'll always see petrol vehicles on the road
I
for
think-
our lifetime.
I don't know our whole lifetime, but I think that we're going to see at least petrol assistance in moving your vehicle for a very long time. I
Right.
don't think
I
we
mean,
can
like, think
fully
about
move
like
away
the
from it.
weed out of like. I mean, I don't know. I could never. It would just be. It sounds so insane to like have a rule in place where like you're not allowed to drive 100% like gasoline powered vehicle or something like that. To where like people with their classic cars, like you for instance, like you'll be driving your Porsches till you're friggin' 70 years old. You know.
I pray. I mean,
hopefully.
I'm worried
yeah.
that I'm going to have to Tesla swap them, but
Yeah, right.
realistically,
I mean,
I
do you
think
think that? Do you
eventually-
think that could be a thing where
think that's
they
gonna
make
happen?
a mandate where it's like
I don't think it'll be mandated, but I think it'll come to a point where if you have a car that's built before a certain date, you'll have to pay
Yeah.
a certain amount of money to drive it for leisure on the weekends. They won't let you to commute in it, but they'll say, "Hey, you
or
can."
it's just a crazy.
It's like
tax.
going out and riding your horse.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
it's
saying?
like,
Like-
you can't go ride your horse on the street now.
Yeah, exactly. They're going to say these are the roads you can drive them on.
I mean,
Have
either
fun.
that or they're just gonna make the
That's a
the
really good analogy.
like the tax incentive or decentive, I guess,
Yeah.
for driving a
They're gonna
gasoline
outprice
vehicle
you.
so high that
Yeah.
it just doesn't make sense.
They're going to price you
anymore.
out of it.
So
It's going to be the top tier people that are able to do it eventually.
As
it's
it
like, oh,
usually
you want to
is.
drive your 1993 Oldsmobile? That'll be $5,000 a year in our like.
At a certain point, nobody's going to be driving that old. Let me tell you.
Yeah.
If you're going to pay the money to drive something, it's going to be something special.
I mean, here in
Unless
Michigan
it's
is
a
really the
Saturn.
only place that I see.
Bro, no one's going to pull the Saturn out. Let me tell you.
No, I'm just saying because you still see the Saturns on the road that are like super old and rust buckety somehow
welcome to
still running.
Michigan.
I was
Bro.
gonna say Michigan. I don't see like I see relics of old cars here in Michigan. Like I mean, shit, old cars.
We see
I'm not
more
calling
American
cool
cars
ones.
here than anywhere else in the country, too.
But like we have the shittiest cars. Like everywhere
Oh,
I
for
go
sure.
has like everyone's
'Cause we have the
driving
most
a
expensive-
2000 plus car. You
Well,
know, everywhere else, like besides.
I think it has to
here,
do with
like-
the regulations that they have. I mean, you have to get safety inspections, you have to get emissions inspections, and
True.
it's cheaper to do that with a new car that's running well.
And also, just like if you can't afford to do those things, you just don't have a car.
Yeah.
You know,
It's true.
So we see people who have beaters because they can't afford to do it because we don't have those regulations.
My question is, where else in the country can you get on the highway and look over and see a toddler's socks through a rust hole?
A toddler's socks through a rust hole.
It doesn't happen anywhere
Have you
else in the
seen
country.
that in
It's
Michigan?
happened
Is
to
that why
me
you
here.
say
Oh
it?
my God.
Oh my
Yeah.
God. Jeez.
Driving down the highway, you look over at an old Ford Bronco and you see some kid's pink socks through a rust hole. It's like, oh, you're driving some Swiss cheese.
Yeah,
Good luck.
it's time to toss the towel in.
I mean, it's a Bronco.
it's a Bronco.
Yeah, but like what? So, I mean, just like so, yeah, batteries, electric, solar power, like all of them have their downsides.
Hydrogen, bro.
Hydrogen.
I was gonna
That's
say
it?
that's gonna be the.
Well, that's just
the
a
move.
gas, right? Like it's a hydrogen gas.
Water, baby.
Yeah, but
I think that's the stepping stone after electric, but I don't know. I mean, how fast is technology going to evolve?
We're just
There's a
gonna-
lot more money invested in these alternative
fuels.
the fuel sources now. So
yeah.
Deplete the Great Lakes, power our vehicles.
that just made me want to throw up.
it made me think of Enbridge.
Let's go, baby.
Yeah. So, like, are people really pushing for that stuff or what?
I mean, there's demand for it. My company has been working with a couple of other companies on some hydrogen propulsion Class 8 semi-trucks. It's definitely a thing. I know that in the... Excuse me, Trey. Where is it? Kansas area? A lot of the area over there, just they have vehicles that run on natural gases. So it's interesting.
When are we going to be able to do the thing that they did in Back to the Future where the vehicles can run on trash?
I don't know. I mean, I read something today about how some cannabis company in Canada created a airplane made out of like 100%
Hemp?
cannabis hemp materials.
Yeah. Well,
And it
the
runs
hemp
on hemp
cars,
oil,
yeah,
too.
the hemp cars and stuff. Like we can build houses with hemp. Like hemp concrete is like,
yeah, hempcrete.
yeah, it's like way more powerful and stronger than actual concrete. Cheaper. We fucking grow
Yeah,
it.
but there was some type of weakness that's not. What is it? I think it's vulnerability to moisture. Mm-hmm. So
I believe it.
Yeah, I think you have to. I think that it can mold or something like that. You have to be careful with that.
Yeah, but then all you got to do is start doing it, and then some genius is going to come up with a way to fix that.
You have to create some type of incentive for people to spend money on a research in that area, which is why, I mean, alternative fuel sources like electric and hydrogen are going to start growing now because there's an incentive to do so because the government is going to make you pay more if you don't.
Yeah.
As a car company, like CAFE credits. I know, Dodge is buying CAFE credits from Tesla so they can put V8s in everything.
Do you think we're going to reach a point where, like electric is just going to slowly we're going to realize that electric necessarily wasn't the way? Because like, I mean, I feel like,
I think we already realized electric isn't, for me personally, it's not the future. I mean, it's a stepping stone. It's an alternative for the time being until we figure out what that next best option is.
Okay, that's a good way to look at it.
I don't see electric being the future, the all-end be-all,
Yeah.
But
Here, you want to pull this in?
it's just my perspective. I mean, I'm sure other people think it is.
Yeah.
Look at all the Tesla fanboys out here.
Have you driven a Tesla though?
No, I haven't.
No.
Trey
No.
loves them.
I mean, I think that
It's just a different type of, I've driven a
sure.
lot of cars. I've driven some
sure.
fast cars. It's comparable.
Okay.
It's comparable to the Top Thrill Dragster at Cedar Point.
I'm sure it
visited
is.
that.
Yeah.
Just with
it's probably super artificial, like taking Molly for the first time.
Yes,
Like,
it's
ooh.
Okay.
Oh, that was sweet. It lasted 5 minutes. Okay.
So
Where's
savage.
the charger?
That's pretty good. But just the whole torque, like all torque, no fucking play is just
Sorry to all you Tesla boys.
I'm starting to
It's
realize
hype.
I hate
It's
Elon
hype.
Musk. I used to think he was the shit.
No,
You know
he's a
what?
piece of shit.
I
but-
respect Tesla as a company. It's an American electric company that's taken the world by storm. I just don't respect Elon.
Well, Elon's just
And
lying
all
through
of-
his teeth all the time.
He's definitely full of shit. I'll give you that. But I think the thing that bothers me the most is the fanboys that hop on board and like just are begging to suck his dick. I'm sorry.
It's fine.
But like there are just fanboys that hopped on board and they just don't even care. I mean, I would much rather be in a Rivian R1T than a
Rivian,
Tesla.
they're doing it.
I mean, look at the Ford Lightning. Rivian, is partially owned by Ford.
Yeah.
All of that technology in the new Ford Lightning is directly from Rivian. So
Okay. And even
just
those
like
new
the-
Mavics,
I was just gonna
it's
say
like
that-
$20,000.
what is it?
The Mavics.
Maverick?
Mavericks. Sorry,
Maverick?
I'm thinking of drunk.
Oh, the Ford Maverick.
The Ford
yeah.
Mavericks. Those are like $20,000 trucks.
$20,000 gets you front-wheel drive EcoBoost, though. That's not the hybrid all-wheel drive with 45 miles per gallon. And if you want Maverick with the or the hybrid all-wheel drive, good luck finding one.
Oh, the chip shortage.
I mean,
and stuff.
they released it this year, but I mean, who got one?
No, yeah. Supply chain is down.
Yeah, that's the first car I'm trying to get for my fiance.
Yeah. You do have a wedding coming up, bro.
I do.
It's gonna be sick.
Shit, I was supposed to bring you that invite. My bad.
It's okay. I already talked to Dasha about the whole thing.
I was gonna say I talked to Dasha as well.
Yeah. Steve's wedding's about to be sick.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
you go.
I think I might have an invite for you, Trey.
Might. Okay. Cool.
We've
when,
had a-
when is it again? June something?
61122, June 11th, baby. Locking
that's
it down.
great. You guys have been together for what, like 12 years now?
Almost 12. On 420, it'll be 12 years.
That's crazy. You asked her out on 420. Yo, 420 was a holiday. Me and Steve used to, like, I remember.
Celebrate.
I specifically, I don't know if it was 2008, 2009, or 2010, but I remember a couple of them.
All
They
three?
were there.
The high school holiday.
The high school holiday. I don't know.
That
No,
was a
I'm
good
saying I don't
time.
know which one it is, but there are memories. Letha's car getting stuck. Other things
yeah.
happening,
That was 09.
Yeah.
That was 09 for sure.
What are you thinking, Trey?
I think I gotta go to my little brother's basketball game.
Oh yeah, after 2 beers? What?
It's Friday. It's been a long day. I figured I'd just ride it out.
It has been a long day. I honestly feel great because I've been working out so much recently. I'm just like got this energy
Okay,
back.
I see you. Hey,
Yeah.
I want to do a recap really quickly. I've done 3 shoots with you guys over the years, right?
Yeah.
Battery exhausted on the video, so we only got the
Only vocals
Audio
right now.
go.
Whatever.
going.
It'll spin on YouTube.
It's okay. We're not showing you anything special. So we did the shoot with the BMW. Multiple, right? Or just one?
No, there was a couple in there.
There was a couple
late night shoots.
Couple slidey boys, smoky boys out there. We did a music video with my Macan.
Oh
in Detroit.
yeah, the Know Me
Right.
video.
I was-
That was
yeah.
so sick.
I was trying to place together the third one,
It's in our
being
intro.
The know me
Yeah.
one.
In the intro, like in those flashes of
Yeah.
pictures, you'll see Steve's white Porsche in
And
there.
like the pink purple background.
Yeah, that was dope.
And
There
then
was so many moving parts that day. I feel like I didn't even like talk to you or like see you.
I understand. You guys had a whole operation going.
I mean,
down.
and there was so many people on set. That was just a logistical nightmare.
I'm honestly super impressed with the way that you guys run these types of shoots. Like, it's very professional.
Thanks, dog.
Appreciate it.
And then
We tried.
our third shoot was that Huron River Drive shoot,
The
with
Porsche.
the 61 356.
Have you seen the rough cut of that? By
I
the way?
haven't.
No,
have
it's,
not?
it's the one
I
that I
have-
sent you.
Oh, did you?
Oh wait, no, I gave you the daily.
Yeah.
You haven't
Oh,
seen it.
okay, yeah.
He hasn't seen the other one.
Yeah, we
We
gotta
need
check
to-
that out.
What's up with the carburetor on that?
So I got to tell you guys, we are about to be done rebuilding the carburetor. I got clearance to go run that bad boy in the middle of winter to get our sounds. Yeah.
No, we don't have to do that.
Yeah, we
no,
can
no,
wait.
no, no, no.
I mean, I guess there hasn't
We're
been.
doing
I
it.
guess there hasn't been snow,
Salt
so
or
there's
snow
not
on
that
the
much
road.
salt.
No, we're just gonna do it, boys. My dad has been eager. He wants to hear the sound over.
We're
the
gonna
video.
have to do it on a
Beautiful.
day though where it is like dry as hell because I
For
do
sure.
not want to do that.
For
when
sure,
it's-
for sure.
And we can do that anywhere too. So like what we're talking about, we just need to get audio for this video that we shot with Steve back in the fall. We just ended up going back to the editing bay and realizing that we need some audio to supplement this footage. So
Well, we have good audio and everything's there, but we really want to go authentic because the reason that we did this video is to pitch to Porsche enthusiasts and to car companies where that shit's gonna matter.
Well, that on top of that, our 356 was built by Vic Skurmans. That is a name in the Porsche community. Let me tell you, he has built and raced Porsche 356s for, I want to say, over 40 years now. He's one of the best well-known names in the U.S., and this is the best performing car he's ever built.
Wow.
This engine was built by he builds race engines, but he also
Yeah.
does suspension geometry setup. So it handles really well, but the sound on this engine is very specific.
Yeah,
So if we
exactly.
took sounds from another 356, it would not match.
Yeah, and that's like the whole entire
important.
enthusiastic selling point. But yeah, I mean that shoot's great. We can actually go and show you down right after this, but I think we do need to wrap because you got to get out of here, don't you?
Gotta go cheer my little brother on.
Fuck
All
yeah,
right.
Gotta
Cole.
sink them
Yeah,
threes.
Cole sinks them, dude. He does.
So I play him in Pig like all the time and stuff at the basketball hoop at my mom's house, and he makes some shots, man.
I've seen him. He like throws his whole body into it,
Like-
and it's like, whoop.
He'll just be like, all right, now, like, right here, like, walk all the way back. I'm like, okay, yeah, sure, go ahead. And, like, just sinks it. I'm like,
Okay.
fuck, okay. He's definitely beat me multiple times. In
When's-
Pig, I'll crush him in one-on-one still, obviously.
When's the
He's,
basketball
like, 4 foot
podcast?
tall.
Let me know.
We'll bring Cole on, you know.
I'll just sit in silence in the background, and I'll be like, I don't know anything about this.
I think Cole would be a rough podcast person. We got to give him a couple of years.
All right. Well, hell yeah. I mean,
Steve, thank you for coming out and chatting with us. You know, we love to talk shop, and even if it's shop of garage and Porsche and stuff. So
Of course, boys, you know it.
yeah. Is there anything you want to plug?
No.
shout out to fucking Porsche.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Baby.
Porsche North America, Porsche Club of America. That's it.
Cool. All
A
right.
lot of Porsches.
Well, thanks everybody. I mean, yeah. Have a good.
Actually, 2 quick plugs. First one is Arbor Motion, Ann Arbor.
Yeah. Who's that?
Great European auto shop.
Okay.
Family friend. We've
What
been
about-
going there my entire life.
What about A2 Customs?
A2 Customs is the spot in Ann Arbor, Michigan area for tint and wrap.
Okay.
100%.
My tint's not gonna bubble after I do it.
No, your tint's not going to bubble and it'll protect you from UV rays.
We
And
need
then,
that drop creative wrap on the Ford Escape.
Fuck yeah, that would be sick.
oh shit, I could help you wrap it too.
I'm kidding.
And then
Gun out.
last drop is Tim Pot, 100% best air-cooled Porsche 911 mechanic out there. That's
Is it Michigan based?
Yeah, Michigan-based.
Shouts out.
All right, that's it. Have a night.
All right, guys. Bing bong.
Bye.
Later, y'all.